Yeah, Weege show wrapping up from Hangtown, brought to you by DID. What drives you? DID chains and DID Dirt Star rims. They've been doing it for 100 years. And that includes the chains that are used on the Lawrence Brothers Hondas, which are dominating this series once again. And we'll get into that in a bit. I'm gonna go on the top of this hill. I really wanna show you what the track is like. So let's get into the Weege show on the other side and you'll see the track. And maybe we'll find this very popular rider who had a moto win today to help break it down for us. Oh yeah, Weege show wrapping up from Hangtown, and there's once again some real music in the background, so YouTube's gonna probably flag my video for copyright infringement. I'm not playing the music. I can't help it that Hangtown's playing music as we wrap up the day. Now, I'm gonna do this video in a couple parts. I'm walking over to the paddock right now, and then I'll listen to guys post-race press conference if it's still going, and hear what they have to say, and I'll wrap that up. But certainly we know off the top that the Lawrence brothers just absolutely continue to roll. And it is perfection in so many ways. Now, Hunter hasn't won all the motos, but at the same time, the way he's managed it has kind of been perfect. Both first motos this year, not great starts, did what he had to do. I thought when he got into third in the first moto today, he might try to make a crazy charge at Justin Cooper, who was in second. Didn't do it. Did what he needed to do. Got third, won the second moto. And then Jed has just been unbelievable in the 450 class. But also shout out to Haiden Deegan. As my guy Jason Thomas has been saying, wow, I tried to hop this fence and I just broke it. So we're gonna go this way. There's Deegan right there. This guy's unbelievable. Anything I thought about a rookie, I've been completely and totally wrong. Like, we thought rookies, they were gonna take time. It's like, you gotta win, or you gotta learn, you gotta podium, you gotta win. This guy is so good right now. And I just wanna show you how nasty this track is. This is unreal. Did you ride this? No. Did you ride this friggin' track? Yeah. I just gotta say. Is it a track? Yeah, it's even a track. It's an obstacle course. I know you got your own deal going right now, but I just wanna say, any prediction we had about you, we've been totally wrong. This would be your chart of development. Like, rookies are supposed to take a year or two. Yeah. But are you satisfied with this? Or you're like, no, this is just where I should be?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, you won the first moto and you know you can win now.
I saw on the podium you look bummed.
Yeah, it sucks.
Second race, second real race.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna predict anything anymore. Yeah. Sky's the limit. How about that?
A lot of guys probably shouldn't predict anything anymore.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is.
How many times can the experts online get it wrong? And still get listened to?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I would have never guessed that either, to be honest. I was surprised.
Well, all we can go with the data we have, and we're like, usually rookies take some amount of time. That was all we had to go by. This is no ordinary rookie deal. So congrats on that, and maybe next time the 1-1. Yep. How did you met when you, what do you start, 7th, second moto?
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Were you like super pissed or like?
No, I was like, dang it, like I gotta dig this moto.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's a lot nicer, dude. It's like another experience when you whole shot.
Being up front.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like you just move around the track, you flow, and you just hold the lead. It's nice.
Yeah, you probably didn't ride nearly as hard.
No.
Winning.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll leave you alone so you can do your own thing, but just tell me what it's like to ride this.
It's gnarly because your pegs grab up this thing, so you have to like sit into it and make sure you don't like, it's weird.
Are these pegs right here? Is that pegs?
Yeah.
That's pegs.
Swing arm.
That's swing arm. Yeah. So you're almost taking your feet up because they're gonna get ripped up.
Yeah, because I don't want to grab one.
Which line did you hit here?
This one.
This big one?
Yeah, I go right here.
Were you tripling?
Yeah, you tripled. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. He won the moto. He's a star. You got to teach him freestyle. Go no legger on this thing, dude.
Yeah, you must have hit that line because I remember a few times you went.
You did. We tried to hype it up a little bit. I'm gonna be honest. All right, keep proving us wrong. Good job. Yep. Moto win for Haiden Deegan. I mean, what can you say about this dude? In Supercross, he was solid. He was very consistent. I feel like we've seen rookies maybe be more spectacular, like been, oh my God, so much faster than everybody else. Maybe they aren't as consistent as him. But outdoors, I think we're seeing a different edge in speed. Now, obviously, that would be to be expected in some ways, because every rookie generally has more motocross experience than Supercross experience. But some guys are just better at some things than others. It doesn't always work out that way. So the minor bit of data we had about the experience that this dude had, I mean, he was pretty good in a couple races here last year, but as even the team manager, Jensen Hedler, told JT later in the day, the development in 18 months is just astonishing how much better he is in such a short amount of time. And I will say that one thing I think that has really helped Haiden through his development, and I've never been a doubter of his riding skills and ability, I've told this story many times. I saw him and Dax Bannock battle for a lot of 50 and 65 and 85 titles. And I just remember one moto, I tell the story a lot, at Loretta's in the mud for all the marbles for a title in Moto 3. And I just remember watching him and Bannock riding in the mud on bikes that are very hard to ride in those conditions, 65s that don't have a lot of low end power. The power band's probably about as wide as this arm on my sunglasses. And the way Haiden managed the ruts and the clutch and the throttle control in those conditions, that's when I knew it's not a YouTube dude, it's not a marketing guy, it's a heck of a racer. But the other thing that has helped, so he's got all that. The other thing that has helped is he's been pretty darn healthy. He's just building this whole time. We haven't heard of Deegan missing a year here or there. A lot of the big injuries that a lot of the guys get, he hasn't gotten them. So you can ask Hunter Lawrence. I mean, nothing helps your development more than compounding work over a long period of time. And Deegan winning this moto, I think it changes the paradigm. I mean, we really have to start looking at him as a potential title contender. Is he the full package that Hunter Lawrence is right now? No, but Hunter Lawrence has been at this game for a long, long time. And then you have to start charting, if Deegan's gotten this good already, where could he be in a month? Where could he be in 3 months? Where could he be in a year? Where could he be in the playoffs by September? It's impressive, and certainly more than we expected. Just, again, the only data we have is not really Haiden, it's just what do rookies normally do. He's rock solid. So that's the story here. It was really cool, by the way, to see how insane, brutal, and rough that track is. So it's different. These tracks have always been rough, but I think they're different rough. A couple things have changed through the years. So they had a deal going for a long time where the tracks were unbelievably deep, unbelievably watered early in the day. And the idea was to create lines. Like, you would look at a corner and see 14 deep ruts in a corner. And you're like, oh, it's got 14 lines, it's places to pass. But then the riders said that doesn't really work because you're locked into a line. So they backed that down. And then this year they got to back it down even more because they don't have, we have intermission. They can water in halftime instead of having to save the watering for the morning. Press conference is going, I'll be right back. Okay, full circle, we're back where we started, the press tent, and the press conference is over, and I missed all of it. So I don't have any more information for you from that. I got 19 jobs here, so being press guy, it's like the photo in Back to the Future. It's like me being guy that goes to the press conference and asks questions. It's like starting to fade. But I can tell you a couple things. I was telling about the track before we went over here. The track prep is different than it was, and different from race to race. So a couple years ago they had the track super wet, super water. They had all the lines like I was saying earlier, and they had a race in Colorado where it was super windy and it dried out the track more than I think they had anticipated, and then the ruts weren't as deep and weren't as gnarly, and some of the riders actually like that better. There's always two philosophies, and that's the thing to always understand about everything in life, and everyone fails to understand that these days. For each action, there's the equal and opposite reaction. Everything in life is actually a compromise. There is no perfect answer to anything. You can have a track that has ruts in it, and that's difficult and that's gnarly, but it's tough to make 14 ruts in a corner, all 14 ruts that are the exact same speed. Then sometimes the solution is, well, don't have any ruts at all, so the riders can just cross inside and out. But then at the same time, if the track doesn't have that kind of character to it, then it's like, well, where can I even gain time on the guy? Finding that balance, whatever direction you want, whatever you do, someone's gonna say a different way was better. So after that race, Colorado, a couple years ago, they haven't prepped the tracks as deep, as wet in the morning, and it's made the tracks harden up a little bit. Maybe there are a few sections where you can cross inside to outside because you're not locked into a rut. And what it also has done is brought back the individual character of the races. So I talked to kind of the authority in all things in these pits, Kyle Chisholm, and he talked about how this is more California now. The track was a little bit harder and not as deep as the Eastern tracks. And even though he doesn't like it as much for himself as an East Coast guy, he respects that the track in California felt like it had California style to it. And it's like, what do you want? I always reference the old Fox Dream On calendar. If you remember, you're a guy like me growing up in the 90s, they had these calendars showing a disc, watered, super fresh, super groomed track. That's like what everyone dreams of. That's like perfect. But at the same time, do you want every track to be perfect, or you want them to be different and have their challenges? I mean, this is not perfect. I mean, this is hard and slippery right here. But maybe you want hard and slippery. We want to see who the best guy is. Maybe you want it to be challenging. I mean, these ruts are still pretty deep. For a track that wasn't as deep and rutted as they used to be, that's still pretty deep. You saw those ruts over there with Deegan. And yeah, these are hard. These are hard right here. So when you come to philosophy on track prep and what creates better racing, man, it's all over the map. That's for sure. It's just so fun to see this, man. You cannot tell on TV that when they're going up to this jump, they've got these ruts going in every weirdo direction. One other thing I feel that has evolved in the sport is as these tracks are rough, and by the way, no matter what you want to talk about, I even got to talk to Jose Butron, who's doing spectacular work getting top 10s in the 450 division now, a veteran of the MXGP class. He said some of the guys in Europe said, oh yeah, these tracks will not be that tough compared to some of the tracks in Europe. And he's like, these tracks were very tough. There's a trickiness, I feel, to these tracks. It's no longer just grip it and rip it, hang off the back of the bike, and whoever hangs it out the most. You are really seeing, I think, riders getting more refined with where do I hop bumps? How do I get into these ruts? And I think everybody's improved their riding technique now. Everybody's riding on their toes, the balls of their feet. Every sport, I think, gets like this because of video. Basketball is the same way. Everybody can shoot three-pointers better than they used to. Everyone starts to identify this is the best way to do it, and then they can all study and they can all watch each other, and they all start to learn the best things. Basketball people talk about how back in the day, like, everybody had a different look and form to their shooting. That doesn't happen anymore because everybody is a coach and everybody has video and everybody learned it. And I feel here, every rider has pretty good style and form. But obviously the Lawrence brothers boast on the results, and when you watch them ride, they are maybe taking that form to its highest level. Finding things that they do wrong is very, very difficult. James Stewart has even told me he thinks in some ways, while Jet is spectacular, that it might even be harder to find fault in Hunter's form anywhere than even what Jet does. I mean, they are so technically sound in a sport that I think is trending toward being technically sound is the key now to win races. And when you get these types of tracks, these really tricky ones, I mean, how many Supercrosses ended this year with riders saying the track was a little tricky? Jet Lawrence looked like he was in control all day today. Talked about the track being real tricky. The rider is refining their technique. I think the bikes have gotten a lot easier to ride. I know 450s are fast, but they're not. In the 20 years of development and having ECUs, these 450s are a lot more manageable as far as how the power is applied than they used to be. The whole process is getting more refined. I feel like there was a time in the sport where it was just grip it and rip it, fitness, who could ride harder and bring more intensity during the week, who could be in better shape, who could be gnarlier. Now it's who can ride smarter, who can pick and choose their way around the track, regardless of how the track's prepped. And the Lawrences are taking that art to the highest level right now. I mean, we do watch Jet Lawrence ride. It's not the way James Stewart did it. It's not the way Ricky Carmichael did it. It's quite the opposite in many ways. It looks so easy, it looks so fluid, and it looks like he's going a lot slower than he actually is. And get used to it, folks. I think this is the direction it's all trending. What's up, Paul?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
And he's the leading edge of that style. Be right back. All right, that's a wrap. We're wrapping up our compound. That's my little booth over there. This little trailer has a window in the front. That's where James Stewart and I work. We'll be back for Thunder Valley. Again, just want to thank DID for backing our shows. And let's see how the future looks. Chase Sexton out. I did talk to Lars Lindstrom. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of information. They don't really know. I know they've said the goal is to get him back as soon as possible. Remember, we do have playoffs last year, so there's an incentive for Sexton to come back. Now, I know a lot of times when guys go out at his level early in the season, that's it. They don't come back. I don't know how many people actually know this, but every time Chase Sexton even gets a podium, every time he gets a podium, he's probably making $30,000 to $50,000 just for a podium. A win, probably somewhere around 100. That's how bonuses work. For Sexton to just be like, I feel like kicking the feet up, I mean, he could be leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, and that's not even getting into the $5.5 million total purse in the Super Motocross World Championship playoff, which pays $1 million for the champ, $100,000 for an individual race win. Second in the series still pays a ton of money. It's $100,000 for 8th overall in the series. I mean, Sexton could get that if it even just comes back for a few races. So this is going to be the true test. Are these guys going to come back? Is Sexton going to come back? The concussion, I think, won't be long lasting, but he did say mono, so that's what makes that a little bit scary. And talking to Lars and the Honda team right now, they don't really know too much about it. They expect him to be back soon. He's leaving a lot of money on the table if he doesn't come back. Now, someone did tell me today, they're like, yeah, but he just made a bunch of money. Yes, he might have made $2 million as a bonus for winning the Supercross title, which sounds like a lot of money. Have you followed athletes in other sports? They try to make $200 million. If they make $200 million, they're trying to make $250. leaving 6 figures on the table. We will see if Sexton's able to make it back, or a lot of these other guys. Bonuses, they get paid for results. And with the way this 450 field is, you can get them. So that'll be interesting to watch. Thanks for DID Chain for backing us. What drives you? It's what's driving the Lawrence brothers to victories right now.